Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Oxford University Press and commemorating the second death anniversary of the late UR Ananthamurthy, which was on the 22nd last month, I welcome you to the launch of the English translation of Professor Ananthamurthy's story, Bara. It is to be followed by a screening of MS Sathyu's National Award-winning film on the same story. As a department of the University of Oxford, we believe in furthering the university's objective of excellence in research, scholarship, and education by publishing worldwide. In the OEP Translations Program, over more than 2 decades now, we have been publishing English translations of many Indian language works that have had significant socio-political relevance and made remarkable impact among its readership. Some of our source languages so far have been Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Bangla, Hindi, Assamese, Oriya, and Dogri. Our welcome addition to this array of titles is Bara. Since we have esteemed panelists to talk about the book, I am not going into its details. On the panel we have with us Professor Ashish Nandi, Professor Ananya Vajpayee, Ms. Poonam Saxena, and the translator of the book, Professor Chandan Gowda. Though all of you may know of them, let me still introduce them very briefly. Professor Ashish Nandi of the Center for the Study of Developing Societies is one of the most prominent intellectuals of our times. Professor Nandi has enriched our ideas with his writings in different areas over the last 4 decades. He has not only made remarkable contribution to sociology and clinical psychology, but also made his mark outside formal social sciences and academic pursuits. Professor Ananya Vajpayee is an associate fellow with the Center for the Study of Developing Societies and a global ethics fellow with the Carnegie Council for Ethics in International Affairs, New York. She is the author of Righteous Republic, The Political Foundations of Modern India, which won the 41st Thomas Wilson Prize, the Crossword Award for Nonfiction, and the Tata First Book Award for Nonfiction. Ms. Poonam Saxena has been a journalist for almost 2 decades now, first as a freelancer and then as features editor with various newspapers. Currently, she is the National Weekend Editor with Hindustan Times. She has recently translated Gunahon Ka Devta, Dharmveer Bharati's iconic Hindi novel of 1949, into Hindi as Chandar and Sudha. Professor Chandan Gowda teaches at the School of Development, Azim Premji University, Bengaluru. He has edited several books, including the recently published work Theatres of Democracy, Between the Epic and the Everyday, which is a collection of essays by Professor Shiv Vishwanathan. He writes a weekly column on culture and politics in Bangalore Mirror. A book of his extended conversations with UR Ananthamurthy called In Conversation is to be published next year. I will now request Ashish to release the book. May I request Professor Gowda to moderate today's discussion. Let's have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you, I'll keep my comments very brief. Thank you for coming. A quick note on the story. The story was written in 1976, made into a film in the early 80s, which will follow the discussion. But the story has met with great indifference and neglect. No one in Kannada literary circles has bothered to give it any attention or think that there's anything of any value in the story. When UR Ananthamurthy asked me to translate it, I reread it and I realized, this was in the a few years ago, that every big theme that has come to preoccupy anthropologists and sociologists of South Asia was articulated in the story. So that got me very interested in the story, to also sort of say why so much of what comes to be seen as a recent discovery of interest has actually been dealt with in more creative ways in Indian writing. So that was my sort of chief driving motive, among other things. I also wanted the Kannada world to take it seriously, give it another look, as it were. If those of you familiar with UR's writings will know that his persistent